It's hard to believe that 25 is almost a wrap, and we appreciate those of you that are with us this afternoon. And our invocation tonight will be given by Councilmember Greg Steele, and respect to the flag be led by Councilmember Matt Harbin. Please rise.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you during this Christmas season, remembering your gifts during this season, and coming to you grateful. We thank you for the gifts of family, friends, community, and we thank you most of all for the gift of your Son. We pray for those who are lacking this season. We pray for those who are without food, shelter, family. Pray that you would comfort them during this time. Give us wisdom as we consider the business of our city. Help us to make wise decisions that would be in accordance with your will. We ask all this in your Son's name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started tonight, we have a couple of presentations, and as I'm talking, I'm going to ask Beth Batson to come up here and join me. As you see on the agenda, Beth is retiring, and I'm going to let Beth have the mic for a second. Go ahead.
Promise me 5 minutes, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. It's my privilege to be here, and yes, as you might imagine, I do have a few words to say, because I have some folks I want to thank, and I want to express my gratitude to the City of Anderson as an institution and to the City of Anderson and all of its people. I also want to, first of all, thank my wonderful husband, my Phil, for the way he has supported me through this 2-decade career in government, but mostly for the way that he has supported the City of Anderson. He early on, some of y'all remember, we would have events and he's hauling tables and chairs and handing out programs, and most of all, always working the crowd as an advocate for us. So thank you for all you've put up with. Okay, so in my tenure here, like many of us, I've had 3 city managers. And I would like to mention that I'm grateful to John Moore for hiring me. I'm grateful to Linda McConnell for sort of molding my talents to fit government. And I'm grateful to have gotten to spend the twilight of my career watching David McEwen hit new heights. And that's been a privilege. And sometimes you think about economic development accomplishments, and you know, David got a hotel built. Nobody thought there'd be a hotel downtown. But to me, and I shared this with him the other day, the biggest thing that he has done is keep us safe. In his tenure, we had a 100-year pandemic and a 100-year flood. And because of his background in emergency management, he and we saved lives. So, in my opinion, if we're not keeping people safe, we may as well pack it in. So that, to me, is the most extraordinary thing. Thank you, David. Also, having 3 city managers, I've only had 1 mayor. 20, I was trying to count out, about 20 council members, somewhere between 18 and 20, but only 1 mayor. Mayor, thank you so much. It's been a joy to walk beside you, or like my mother said one time, you better not walk beside him, you better walk behind him. And I feel like a lot of great things have happened because of your gentle leadership and your axiom that there's no telling what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. And we've talked a lot about our projects, but one of the things we hadn't talked about in a long time that I'm so grateful for is that during the making of the Church Street documentary, I got to interview your dad. And that's about all I can say about that. That was a privilege. And amongst all the 20 other councilmen, there's only been one Dr. Thompson. And Dr. Thompson, you and I have notoriously worked on some major projects together that I believe have helped the fiber of this community forever. And I appreciate being able to be a little bit on the coattails of your legacy. Thank you for what you've done for me personally and for our city. And here's another obscure memory. We did a lot of stuff together, too much to talk about. But I want to make sure everybody knows that it was Dr. Thompson's courage of why we have Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And it took the courage of Dr. Thompson and the council behind her. But what did that mean to me? I got to do this cool little mini documentary where I got to interview the Anderson folks who were freedom fighters. I don't think any of them are alive anymore. They were in their 90s 15 years ago. But that was a great opportunity to get. And again, in that sea of council members, there was only one Tony. And Tony was here when I got here too. And Tony, can I get there? Tony, one of the things I really appreciated about working with you is the work that we got to do at Greeley Park. And you started that wonderful backpack tradition, and you let me piggyback with some public art for the children, and then some public art in the form of those chairs. And I appreciate your dedication to getting those kinds of things beyond downtown. The rest of you, you know I love you. Y'all get to be and the rest. And appreciate all the projects I've worked on with all of you too. Thank you, Andrew, for the aesthetic that you've brought to our city and making it more beautiful, kicking it up a notch. Thank you, Frankie, for y'all. I mean, really. Thank you, Frankie, for your wit and wisdom. And Margot, I'm just so proud of you. So proud. I feel great to have gotten to witness your rise and you becoming a C-suite professional of the highest order. And not just for yourself, but for the other folks that you brought along with you. The way that you're building a team. I'm so proud of you. And everybody needs to know, if it wasn't for Margot's skill, none of us could be doing a thing. Not one single thing could any of us do. So thank you, Margot. Quickly, two more people, my colleagues in the city manager's office that have been there since the beginning. Thank you, Brandy, for bringing your creativity and enthusiasm all along the way to everything. And Rachel told me she couldn't be here tonight, but y'all, Rachel, it is not a joke of who runs the city. And y'all all know that. And I'm so grateful to her personally, but I'm so grateful for the way she holds up our city. And I want to be clear about this, Mr. McEwen. If we ever need a poster child for our slogan of teamwork, integrity, and professionalism, it is Rachel Mullinex. Thank you, Rachel. You're going to watch it on tape. Thank you, everybody. I love all of you. Good night. Oh, you get to say something?
No, I can't top that. No, it's, you have meant a lot to all of us, for sure. And so we'll probably shut up so we both won't cry. But the plaque reads, presented to Elizabeth S. Batson. And for those of you who don't know, I didn't know this until, we talk a lot, but the S stands for, her parents knew what they were doing when they named her Sparks. Can you believe that? Elizabeth Sparks Batson. In appreciation for 19 years of loyal and dedicated service to the city of Anderson, Anderson City Council on this day of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
You want to be in the picture too, don't you?
Mayor, I'd just like to say something, if you don't mind. Hey, Beth, it's been wonderful working with you all these 25 plus years, and I can just tell you, every project that you see in the city of Anderson, it doesn't matter from when we went through the COVID pandemic, you know, helping people, whether it's Lindley Park, whether it's, the Caters Lake project, whether it's anything got to do with downtown. Our story wouldn't get told if it went for Beth Batson. She's the poster child for the city with putting out our story, and nobody can tell our story better than Beth Batson. So Beth, I'd like to thank you for representing, putting the city out the way you have over your career. So really like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'd like to just say one thing, Beth. Thank you so very much for your commitment, of putting our city that we love so dearly on the international back. We're somebody now, not just nationally, but internationally, because of your hard work. You are committed to our community. I love you so much. You've done so much. And most of all, Beth, thank you for being my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go down the line, come on.
Joey. Y'all, this is Joey, one of our Bozeman artists and now an employee of the city. You got something to say?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I've been on Beth probably for like 5, 10, probably longer than that, years, and I reached out to her when I first started painting, and she gave me like plenty of opportunities with the city, and we done so much things together, with the mall and just everything, just conversation and talking on the phone every day. She's like family to me, so she always been more like, we always kept contact with each other throughout the years, and just, I wanted to paint this for her. Picture of her.
Thank you, Joey. That's extra sweet. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item on our recognitions, I'm going to ask the Chief Stewart to come down and lead us in the Anderson Police Department. We have an award. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask my staff to come on down, Major and Captains, come on down. You can stand behind me. We always appreciate the opportunity to recognize the police department and the good works we're doing. Tonight, it would be a little different. I want to present the award to you, Mayor. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Earlier this fall, I submitted our nomination to the South Carolina Law Enforcement Officers Association, known affectionately as SCLEOA. It is the organization that represents all of us. It is what they say is the voice for law enforcement in our state. We currently have about 6,400 members in our organization. To receive this award from this group makes it even more meaningful for us. So in our application, I talked about what makes us different than any other law enforcement agency in the state. And again, to use the phrase, I use teamwork, integrity, and professionalism. So those aren't just words that we say, but it is how it guides us, how we serve our community, and what we support every day. I pulled a lot that is in our 5-year plan when I submitted this for how it directs us for a safer city, safer neighborhoods, safer streets, and safer schools. The Law Enforcement Award that we received is for excellence in law enforcement, and it recognizes a collective effort in our service to the community and the results achieved through teamwork rather than just one individual. So on November 14th, Chief Dale Long of the Conway Police Department, who also serves this year as our president of SCLEOA, presented the award to us, and it was a proud moment for all of us. Our motto at the Anderson Police Department, which you've often seen and we put on our social media, is one team, one family. Everybody on patrol, every detention officer, every staff member contributes to this mission. And our team has embraced new tools. This past year, programs, grants, new equipment, new technology, and the partnerships have made us very effective, efficient, lawful, and legitimate in our service to the community. We've also worked closely with our community through our law enforcement task force, Dr. Thompson, that strengthened and our relationships between law enforcement and the community. These efforts have paid off. As we submitted in our application, our crime rate is down, both property and violent crime. Our accidents are also down. Our community is safer because of all this work and our incredible team. I couldn't have done any of this without these people that are standing behind me, the major captains, the lieutenants, the sergeants. It's all teamwork, and it reminds, as I've always said, a great police department runs by great people. Thank you to all those on the team. Again, it's not just a saying. Teamwork, integrity, and professionalism is what we do every single day. So on behalf of the police department, Mayor Roberts, I'd like to present this award to you. It was presented to us for the excellence in law enforcement as a symbol of our hard work and what we do every day.
Thank you, Chief. So for all of us, thank you. And thank you for all the hard work that you do and everybody else today.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Our last item in regards, we have a presentation for our annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year 2004-2005, Green, Finney and Colley LLP. And I'll get Mr. McEwen to cue that up for us. David?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. It's that time of year again. We're presenting the 2025 financial report to you, ending June the 30th, 2025. I just want to provide some introductory comments prior to the presentation. The Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, known as the GFOA, awards a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Anderson. So we received this award and is reflected in the 2025 report, but it goes through our submission from the last fiscal year. The city has received this award for 30 consecutive years. The Certificate of Achievement is a prestigious national award recognizing conformance with the highest standards for preparation of state and local government financial reporting. To be awarded a Certificate of Achievement, a government unit must publish an easily readable and efficiently organized annual comprehensive financial report, whose contents conform to the program standards and thereby must satisfy both generally accepted accounting principles and government reporting legal requirements. In addition, the City of Anderson also received the Certificate for Excellence in Distinguished Budget Presentation from GFOA for our annual adopted budget for the fiscal year beginning July the 1st, 2025. And the city has received this award for 20 years. For both the reporting, so we have the two major reporting, of course, is the budget, sets up the fiscal year, and then point-in-time accounting as of June 30th of the year, the end of the year, the fiscal year. And pursuing both of these awards they're quite differently. One's on accounting excellence as far as looking back, the audit reports, legal compliance, generally accepted accounting principles. And the other, the budget award that we received for 20 years, is going above and beyond typically just a straight line government budget, but providing information that's overall broad to the city of Anderson, where we're headed from a strategic direction, and our goals that we have from each division, and the priorities set by council. These financial reporting achievements are reflected in the city's professional finance and management team that assure the public's funds are managed and reported on in the highest standards of accounting principles. I want to thank our management team, including Chief Financial Officer Margo Martin and Finance Director Tamara Lindley, for their dedication and hard work in preparing the city's financial reports. David Phillips, partner of Green, Finney, and Cawley, will now present the 2025 financial audit for the year ending June 30th, 2025. Mr. Phillips.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all allowing me to be here. Actually, the engagement partner is Larry Finney, but he was tied up tonight, and I used to do your audit, so they called me back into duty. But we rotated partners. We try to do that every few years sometimes to create another set of eyes on things. But what I'm going to do is just briefly kind of go through the highlights of the fiscal year 2025 audit. But if you have any questions, please feel free to interject, or we can, at the very end, address any of those questions. We like to remind everybody of the importance of internal controls, and that's just not something isolated to a government. It's important for every entity, that there's checks and balances within an organization. So one of the things that we do as your auditors is we try to kick the tires on your significant internal control processes, so that if we see that there are problems, let's just say hypothetically bank recs aren't being prepared on a timely basis, it's not only important that I talk to David and Margo about that, it's important that you as a council are aware of that, because you can't fix it if you don't know it's broken. So again, we're looking at those type of things. And again, these are your financial statements, so that when we go to this next slide, our responsibility as your auditors is to issue an opinion. We look at things from a materiality perspective, and you have what is called an unmodified opinion. Now that's weird, but that really in layman's language is a clean opinion. The old terminology, they used to call it unqualified. They thought that was confusing, so we'll call it unmodified. And a lot easier, right? But again, if we were aware that something was wrong, we would have to modify our opinion. We're not aware of anything being significantly misstated, so you have an unmodified, a clean opinion. All right, well, let's look at some of the things that probably matter to you the most. That chart gives you a little bit of historical perspective there. Your total fund balance decreased, and we're going to look at that by about $3.4 million to $9.7 million. You have various components of fund balance. One piece of that is non-spendable related to prepaids. You also have some restricted fund balance of $0.2 million, and then some assigned fund balance that was related to the fiscal year 26 budget. So then we're left with a category that most people kind of focus on the most. That's the unassigned category, which is about $7.9 million, which is about 23% of your 2025 expenditures, but excluding, remember, you had some pretty large one-time items in fiscal year 25 for some capital outlay for fire trucks, remember the roof replacement, you had some of that land purchase and so forth, you had some Hurricane Helene damage that came through. You don't always get reimbursed for that instantaneously. It takes time to get those monies back. And so if we back out some of those one time, that brings us to that 23%. If we also backed out the fact that you made some prepayments for Schmidt and Smurf right at year end, you would be right back at the 25. that I think that normally that you had kind of been communicated that you were shooting for this year. So I kind of want to let you see there were some unusual items that were kicking in or showing up or being reflected in these year's numbers that made that percentage a little bit less than what they typically would have been. Now remember, David mentioned the GFOA, that's the Government Finance Officer Association. They recommend a minimum of 2 months. So you can see you're really still good in light of that measurement there. All right, well, why do you want to have a strong fund balance? You know, a lot of that became a little bit more crystal clear with the government shutdown. What if that shutdown went for 6 months or a year? Then you might have to bear cost that you wouldn't get reimbursed for a while. Now, of course, it's ended and they're cycling through the reimbursements, but that is one reason. What if there's significant emergencies that come up? You know, some storm like, you know, we had with Hurricane Helene, but even bigger, that you had to shell out several $1 million first before you get reimbursed. You got to have money in the kitty to be able to do that. It also helps you with flexibility. Remember, some of your cash flows, your property tax, those bills go out in October. If people pay those real property taxes, it's usually December, January, and February. And you've pretty much collected most of your real property taxes for that cycle. It helps you, too, if you have to issue debt. You're going to get better interest rates if you have a good fund balance, a good track record there. And it's just important in the uncertain economic times. You know, everybody says personally that you should have a rainy day fund, usually 6 months to 1 year's worth, just in case if you lost your job or something to that effect. That's kind of what we're talking about here. You want to keep a minimum, a reasonable minimum amount of unassigned fund balance. All right, well, let's look at your revenues. That chart gives you, again, a little bit of historical perspective. Your revenues were about $41.3 million, an increase of about 2% over the prior year. General fund actual revenues came in about 1% over budget, and a lot of that is in property taxes, business license, some of those growth-oriented revenues there. On the expenditure side, you had 40.7. This was a 7.7 million increase over the prior year. Remember, we talked about some of those one-time items. You know, you had about 4.7 million in some one-time capital needs that you went ahead and dealt with. FEMA cost of about $800 and some thousand. And then the number one driver for all pretty much governments is higher salaries and benefits. Remember, you gave a 3% cost of living. You had some headcount increase. That was the other part there that drove that increase. As it relates to budget, you came in slightly over budget, but a lot of that was the one-time items and also some higher salaries, some overtime, you know, in your public safety area there. All right, let's look at some of your other funds. Your hospitality fee fund, remember those tourism-related revenues. Remember, they can only be spent for those type of costs. You had a net increase of fund balance of about 4.7, which leaves you about 9 million available at year end. But in that, remember too, we have about 5.4 million of unspent limited obligation bonds, and those are primarily related to Caters Lake and Lindley Park. So again, those projects are still ongoing, but you have some funds there to address the capital project as it goes forward. Your hospitality collections, they exceeded your budget by about $700,000. You're still seeing really strong growth in that area there. All right, just some highlights on the sewer fund. Had an increase in net position of 6.3. Water fund had an increase in net position of 3.5. As we go on over here, just as an update, really not a lot of significant auditing changes this year. We did have to implement a new one on compensated absences, but it wasn't so large that we had to do a restatement as it relates to fiscal year 25. Next year, we have GASB 103, and the GASB, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, they are wanting to make some improvements to the financial reporting model. So in essence, what that is going to do is they want more explanations in the management's discussion and analysis of why did you do well or poorly in various areas. So like if revenues are way up, why? We want you to explain that better. If you're way over or under budget, provide an explanation. One of the interesting things is on the budgetary comparison schedule, when you do get your draft of the financials, and we'll talk about that in a second, there's a schedule right behind the notes that shows your budget to actual. If there's significant variances, they're going to want explanations starting next year by line item. So that's another thing that will be, they view as an improvement because they want the reader to be able to look at those financials and know why without having to be at a presentation. They want to be able to hear it and see, I should say, see it in the text within the financial statements. All right, we did have to do a single audit. Remember, if you get a significant federal monies, we have to look at those programs. We looked at two, ARPA and FEMA, and we had no findings there. No, as a whole, you know, if we had came across any issue, we would have had to have reported that in the financials, and we had no findings to report. There's a separate letter you will receive. It's called a management letter. If we had difficulties with management, let's say they were argumentative, they didn't want to book something that we thought needed to be booked, we would have to make you aware of that. There was nothing like that this year. Again, why don't we have a final report? Well, if you remember with the government shutdown, the government didn't issue the 2025 OMB compliance supplement until the week of Thanksgiving. So it just went out. We're having to review that and see if there's any impact on your single audit programs that we tested, the ARPA and the FEMA. We don't foresee that there will be probably any, so we hope to be able to start wrapping this thing up, finalizing the documents in the coming weeks. But that's what has held us. It's not just you. It's been every government that we've been involved in. We've had to hold them all waiting on this compliance supplement. Again, there could be some additional testing, but we really don't right now foresee that there will be much. All right, again, a summary, unmodified. I know that's strange, but that's a clean opinion. You really have good financial condition. And, you know, I work at a lot of the cities in our state and our school districts, and you just have a great staff. And I go to a lot of places that's not the case, and you really get good information. So again, kudos to them. They're great to work with. Any questions? Because I know I kind of go quick, but most people like that.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Good presentation. Questions?
I do have
comments. Mr. Roberts, Mayor Pro Tem.
You mentioned there were some prepayments into the insurance funds. What's the advantage of prepaying?
Mr. Roberts, I will answer that. So we have two insurance pools. One's of course, our property and casualty and liability insurance, and then the other's workers' comp. And that's through the Municipal Association of South Carolina, that both of those are carried through. So we're billed twice a year for those, and we had a bill for the year ahead come in right at year end that got booked and paid. So typically we just have two payments a year. We don't prepay. But this one did get paid through. So now we'll just have one in this current year. And so we'll be, we just prepaid that. But for accounting reason, it has to go in as restricted already prepaid for as far as this financial statement.
So it's more of a timing issue?
It was a timing issue. It was right at year end when the bill came in and we went ahead and paid it.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Phillips, you work with a lot of cities as far as headwinds ahead. I mean, I know obviously benefits, salary, anything that we should know in that regard or be anticipating?
Not that I saw, but, I know Margot would have talked to our engagement team, and I'm not aware of anything on that front.
Good.
I think y'all are in really good shape.
Thank you. We appreciate your presentation. So the minutes of the November 10th meeting were distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
First by Mr. Steele, second by Mr. Stewart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of November 10th pass unanimously. Now, one item of old business, and that is to request second reading of ordinance 2518, providing for the April 7th, 2026 general election. Ms. McEwen?
This ordinance on second reading establishes the next general election schedule for Tuesday, April the 7th, 2026 for the municipal council for seats of mayor, seats 1, 3, 5, and at-large seats 7. The filing period for the candidates begins Thursday, January the 15th at 12 noon and ends January the 29th. The last day to register for vote for citizens in the April the 7th, 2026 election is Saturday, March the 7th. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
Make the motion to approve.
First by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Harper. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously on the second and final reading. Have 4 items of new business. The first item is request consideration of an ordinance to rezone 409 Highway 29 bypass north from LI light industrial to R20 single-family residential. Mr. Kuhn.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is coming back to you of Planning Commission on first reading for rezoning request, and it was recommended by approval by the Planning Commission. Ms. Maurice McKenzie, our Planning Development Director, will go over the details.
Thank you. Again, this request is to rezone the subject property from LI Light Industrial to R20 single-family residential in order to bring the property into zoning conformance. Currently, there's a single-family house on the property, and with the zoning of LI Light Industrial, that zoning classification does not allow residential uses. So essentially, this property is a legally non-conforming use. In other words, it's grandfathered in. But say, for instance, if this house currently burned by more than 50%, it would not be able to be built back as a single-family residence. It would have to revert back to light industrial, whatever those permitted uses are, if moving forward, if it is burned or something like that does happen. So that's the reason why it's coming to you tonight. They want to bring the property into zoning conformance by rezoning it to R20 single-family residential. And the property has been in use as a residential property for a long time. It's a house on the property, and the applicant wishes to sell the property, but is having trouble doing so because it is non-conforming, and potential buyers are having trouble securing loans because of the non-conformity. So that's the reason why they want to bring it to R20 zoning classification, so it can be in zoning compliance and can be sold. But you can look at your zoning map attached to this. It's also on the screen. You can see that this property is surrounded by light industrial zoning, but the closest single-family zoning to this is R20 single-family residential, so that's consistent with this request. Now, keep in mind, this is a request to downzone the property, going from light industrial to R20 single-family residential. Essentially, the more intensive land uses that you see in light industrial will no longer be permitted on that site. And as you know, 29 Bypass has a variety of land uses, and some are more unsightly than others. So as we go through the final stages of updating our zoning regulations and zoning map over the next few months, we will take a closer look at the 29 corridor and work to find zoning classifications or a zoning classification that will help better guide future development patterns along this stretch of road. This did go before Planning Commission last week at their December 2nd meeting. They did unanimously recommend approval of it. So it's coming to you tonight on first reading. The applicant is also in attendance if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments? Ms. Stewart?
Mr. McKenzie, this is in my district now, and just wanted to ask, I know as we're working through our zoning maps and everything, I just want to make sure, you know, because I'm seeing a lot of property get rezoned, and I guess my feeling has always been, why are we continually rezoning stuff when we don't even know what our overall map is going to look like, you know, when we're trying to solidify an area? And, you know, because it may come back from our consultant that, hey, this may be best for light industrial. We want everything to be, you know, light industrial, but I do know there's residential on the opposite side of the street, you know, which it looks like it's on light industrial as well. So would that wind up getting rezoned R20 as well to make it contiguous? Because I know you got the storage unit right up there at the corner and the self-storage, and then you got the gas station at the corner. And I know this house, I've seen it for sale for, you know, many months now, you know, and I just want to make sure that as we look at, we're going to make this R20, as we look at the other residential units, I think there's a church back behind there as well. What is it gonna be rezoned to? And, because right now, looking at this map, I think everything's just LI.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a variety of land uses out there, so what we would like to do is to most closely match to what's on the ground with our zoning, unless it's some sort of use that we want to see go away. Let's take, for instance, if this situation was reversed. If this was an industrial piece of property located in a C of R20, we may want that to go back to R20. But in this case, it's a down zoning. But you're right, we will look at all of the land uses in the area and try to make it best fit, because we don't want to see nonconformities around there, but again, sometimes it does exist.
Because if I'm not mistaken, right next to it, there's a brick house that has a pool out there. I think it's, according to this, zoned LI too.
That's right.
Would it fall in the same thing if it got burnt? It wouldn't be allowed to put a house back there, and
Yeah.
So would we look at bringing that in as R20 as well, or what?
And that's probably what we'll look into doing as we go through this process. Did this bring to light to us when we started looking at this property, this request, when it came to us? We're like, hey, you have a variety of land uses. You have some different zoning classifications in the area, but you do want to make it best fit. So there's very likely you will see that the residential properties will be zoned a residential type zoning, so it can move forward as a conforming use. But we're looking into that right now.
Anything else? Ms. Morgan?
So, Mr. McKenzie, real quick, so this was probably a house before it got zoned, right?
That's correct. This house is, don't know the age of it, but when our more modern zoning came into place in 1968, I think it was probably zoned something. But then when the update happened in 1998, a lot of times they look at just larger, broader areas. You really don't want to see just a bunch of spot zones everywhere. So a lot of times certain things get absorbed into a larger zoning classification.
And that's what I would,
Yeah.
assume it was a house for the
Correct. From what we can tell, according to the applicant, this has always been a
And then
house.
it got zoned when they did the zoning in the 60s, and then rezoned it. And that's sort of what we're doing with the zoning study coming up, is just clean up things that have got overlooked through the years. Is that?
Yes, that's accurate.
Yeah. Okay. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve this, Mayor.
First by Mr. Horgan, second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion?
So, Mr. McKenzie, as we're looking at the rezoning, I guess, you got light industrial, then you're gonna have residential probably on top of each other. Is that typically, suitable to have light industrial on top of residential?
I mean, I
All
think
in
from a
R20?
zoning purist type standpoint, yeah, probably not. You don't like seeing those abutting land uses like that, but that's what exists out there right now. So,
And if somebody did come back and, want to develop the other parcel next to them for light industrial, I guess we could require something in our zoning to put a natural buffer, I guess, for noise, because you're butting right up to a residential.
our current guidelines do require buffers, things like that, when you do have incompatible land uses adjacent to one another.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments?
And for that property next to it, you talked about, Stewart said there's a house there too. That property owner could come in and request, if it needed to, if they were going through the issues of not being able to properly insure for residential purposes, they can make that same request, correct?
Correct.
So and again, this is just to kind of follow up on the broader picture that Mr. Stewart was talking about. This kind of got captured in there, but this is kind of almost like a backfill, because we actually have a different use than what has been covered by that.
Correct.
So we wouldn't have necessarily caught that.
Right. Yeah, and it happens from time to time with that.
Anything else? Good discussion, I think. The work that we're doing, we found a lot of things, and lot sizes that are different from other lot sizes within neighborhoods. So it's a process, and we appreciate everybody working on that. And we'll obviously keep doing that, obviously, in 2026. So we had a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously on the first reading. Our second item is request consideration of a contract for value and hydrant maintenance. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you. This is dealing with our water system and the ongoing maintenance to that that's required by the Department of Environmental Services. Mr. Scott Banks, our utilities director, will go over the services that we bidded out to help our staff. Mr. Banks.
Good evening. As Mr. McEwen indicated, the Department of Environmental Services regulations require our valves and hydrants to be exercised, evaluated, inspected every 3 years. Due to the growth we've experienced in recent years, getting this accomplished is very difficult with our current staff levels. Therefore, we're recommending contracting this out. The scope of the contract not only includes exercising 1/3 of the valves in the system and flow testing 1/3 of the hydrants, but also part of this service will be helping us update our maps and making sure that they're accurate and refining those. This will consist of exercising approximately 1,033 valves and 389 hydrants, which is 1/3 of our system for a period of 3 years. We had 3 respondents, QCC Services, LLC out of Pamlico, South Carolina. All 3 of the years was $55,605 for a total of $166,815. Hydromax USA, Flower Mound, Texas, $61,541.50 the first year, $63,392.91 the second year, $65,290.87 the third year, for a total of $190,225.28 for the 3-year total. We also had M.E. Simpson Company out of Valparaiso, Indiana, respond for $196,885 the first year, $196,480 the second year, $196,480 the third year, for a total of $589,845 for the 3-year contract. This complies with our strategic goal of maintaining regulatory compliance while maintaining water distribution infrastructure. We would pay for this out of our water funds, and with that, the staff recommends approval of a 3-year contract with QCC Services, LLC, in the amount of $166,815 with a 10% contingency of $681.50 for a total of $183,496.50.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments? Mr. Roberts, Mayor Pro Tem.
Up until this point, we've self-performed these inspections?
We have, and we've been able to do it, but it's been with a lot of rushing and last minute and working it in between. Just currently with our current levels, we're struggling to, over the last few years, we've struggled to get that all done within that time frame, just with all the current work that we have. And I'd rather do this and rather than add bodies at the current time, or rather than recommending adding bodies.
I understand. So after 3 years, we will reevaluate whether to do it.
Yes, sir.
Provide these services.
Yes, sir. At that
contract
time,
these services out.
At that time, we'll evaluate whether to do another contract, or if by that time, if development has slowed and we can do it in-house, then we bring it back in-house.
So it really has the potential of being a recurring cost.
Yes, sir.
Year after year.
Yes, sir.
And do we build that into our sewer budget,
yes, sir.
Excuse me, our water budget?
Yes, sir. This was we had $70,000 for this year in this year's budget, so we were a little bit lower than what our budgeted amount was.
Well, with that, Mayor, I'll move that we accept this bid proposal for annual valve and hydrant maintenance.
We have a first by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Second.
Second by Mr. John Roberts. Any further discussion? So on new systems, on new construction, are they exempt in the 3-year period, or what's the cutoff with the environmental services?
They would come into that, and so within 3 years of them being in our system, we would have to hit them. So more than likely, they would roll to the end of the 3-year period. We'd snag them, and then they just get into to the role.
So it's a rolling 3 years?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Guess that's what I was asking. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you. Our third item is request consideration of a contract to upgrade the sewer line on East Orr Street. Mr. McEwen?
This is an upgrade that we're proposing to a sewer line. That's a lateral system that runs down Orr Street downtown off of North Maduffy Street, and have a change here due to a point collapse in one of the lines. Mr. Banks will go over the details of that and the bid and the budget as well for that. Mr. Banks.
Thank you. Our city crews encountered an issue with a sewer line on North McDuffie Street, where there's a single customer connected on that segment. And upon investigation, crews determined that the line was partially collapsed and is also 20-foot deep. Since that customer is the only one served by that segment, and because there are 3 additional customers on a 4-inch line along East Orr Street, we recommend abandoning the problematic portion on North McDuffie Street, and in its place, we propose installing a new 8-inch line along East Orr Street to consolidate the services of all 4 customers. We had 3 folks that we requested bids from. Davis Plumbing and Sewage LLC of Ivor, South Carolina, $187,000. Roper Brothers Incorporated from Fountain Inn, $191,202. And LBG Plumbing of Greenville, South Carolina was a no bid. This meets our strategic goal by assuring sustainable growth and maintaining a viable sewer collection system. This would be funded out of our utility sewer budget. With that, staff recommends approval of the contract with Davis Plumbing and Sewage LLC in the amount of $187,000 plus a 10% contingency of $18,700 for a total of $205,700.
And I will add, it did come in under budget, about $100,000 of what you were expecting. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments?
So from my understanding, looking at this, it was the Uptown Lounge that had the line. And
Correct.
we're just basically, instead of coming in from one place, we're just extending it out just a few feet and making a bigger pipe so it can service them from there.
Correct. And like, as I said, the other 3 customers along Orr Street, they're on a 4-inch line. That should be a minimum of an 8-inch line if you have more than one customer on it. And so we're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Harper?
where does that line run on Orr Street? Right down the middle?
It's to one side, I think, but it's mostly in the middle. But there's a manhole right there in the intersection of Orr and Main.
Okay.
That
Ties into?
Ties into, yes, sir.
Along those lines, is that a city road or a state road?
That section city, the other side is the state.
Because I do know that,
Right.
cutting that up, and then, I don't know if there'd be an opportunity in the future maybe to pave that.
Yeah.
It's not in the greatest shape, I know, as of today, and I know that's not gonna make it any better. But that's, growing pains.
Any other questions, comments?
I want to piggyback on Mr. Newton. So does that include repaving that stretch or just patching?
Yes, well, that's a patch for the width of a solid patch. It's not repaving. It would be considerably more if it was repaving the whole road.
And I was intrigued, the sewer line in McDuffie is 20 feet deep?
Yes, sir. Well, where the sewer line is, because that's where the connection was that deep, was 20 feet.
So how deep is this excavation?
Well, it doesn't have to be as deep, because from uptown, you're kind of running, the land runs uphill, so the lateral would be deeper, but since you're coming out the side and ore runs downhill, it won't be near as deep. It'll be probably 5 to 6 feet at max.
I was going to say, some of those buildings are right up on the road there.
Yes, sir.
And, okay, well,
Would there be a possibility when Main Street's paved to look at possibly a change order addition to maybe add that on there? I mean, I know that's a costly, endeavor, but also, I know that's.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, we do have some in out of the hospitality of the financial report. They just went over. You saw the fund balance, but $2.5 million is actually reserved in there for Main Street paving after we finish the utilities. But the 2.5 also includes some anticipation of there might be some other areas that we need to get into while we have them mobilized, and that might be an opportunity there to get some cost savings and do that street. And it's not very wide, and I mean, I think you can get it for, since the equipment's mobilized from Main Street, I think you could get a pretty good bid on that.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll make the motion to approve.
First by Mr. Newton,
Second.
second by Mr. Harvin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. The last item of new business is request consideration of a contract for the installation of a water line along a portion of Michelin Boulevard. Mr. McEwen?
There's also a map attached to this as well. This is to the west side of the city, on the other side of Highway 28 bypass. It's in our water service territory. We do go out a good ways to the west side, outside the city limits, as far as our water territory. This is an area that we currently do not have a line, but that we're starting to see that, and we're being approached by different interested parties in building certain buildings there. And so this is an opportunity to expand our water system. And Mr. Banks, if you would go over the proposal of the expansion and the summary of the bids.
Thank you. As we said, Mission Boulevard from Standard Road to Continental Street contains several parcels with development potential. And as was stated earlier, this section currently doesn't have water service. But a commercial building is presently under construction on one of the parcels, and plans are underway for an additional building on an adjacent site. To support existing and future development, we propose installing approximately 1,550 feet of 8-inch water line extending from the existing 12-inch on Standard Road going north. We actually had 8 respondents to our bid request. Davis Plumbing and Sewage LLC of Iowa for $157,547.25. J&M Construction Inc. from Pendleton, South Carolina, $176,450. Seven Hills Construction Incorporated from Iowa, $179,090. Palmetto State Underground LLC from Gaffney, $231,300. Moorhead Construction in Anderson, South Carolina, $239,275. Garcon of Pickens, $242,825. Trey's Clearing and Grading LLC of 6 Mile, $285,150. Payne, McGinn and Cummins Incorporated of Travelers Rest, $385,981.50. This complies with our strategic goal of ensuring sustainable growth by serving long-term infrastructure projects and maintaining water distribution capacity. We would fund this from the utility water capacity funds. And with that, staff recommends approval of a contract with Davis Plumbing and Sewage LLC in the amount of $157,547.25 plus a 10% contingency of $15,754.73 for a total of $173,301.98.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
Mayor, I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem.
I know you can't estimate or guesstimate how long it will take to develop out this stretch, but what would you say would be the approximate payback time on this investment? Years? Multiple years?
Multiple years for sure, yeah, absolutely. It depends on what type of customer you get, so commercial customer, larger tap, and fire suppression system as well.
I know there's no real answer to that, but
Yeah.
multiple years of payback.
Yes.
Well, and if it's a large industrial customer, if they're high water usage, the capacity fees would shorten that drastically.
And also, do we have sewer service in this area?
That segment, or that parcel is sewered by the county on the backside. Their lines are on the backside of that parcel.
So we'll have water.
Water and sewer, yes, sir. It wouldn't be our sewer, it would be the county sewer unless we go through our normal purchasing of that territory.
But to answer your question, all utilities are available except for the water line at this point.
Okay.
And probably the majority of our outside water rates are on the west part of this service area, right?
Yes, correct.
Why was that? Negotiations of the water system? I would imagine, Mr. Stewart?
Yep, something like that. Subject I don't like to broach.
Anticipation of growth is north, but anyway. Any other questions, comments? Mr. John Roberts?
Question, semi-comment. So Davis is the low bidder on
Yes.
this project and the previous
Yes.
one we bid on. Think I've seen the trucks doing some work for us, Lily Park right
Yes.
now? Is that, okay, so with regard to, being the lowest bidder twice in a row, we just want to make sure they're,
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that, because especially this Michelin Boulevard project, it's on the side of the road and mostly in dirt, so it's, I think that's why we had so many bidders, is because this is a
Easier.
quick, dirty, quick and easy project.
Okay.
And with that, then they shouldn't have a difficulty doing both.
sounds good. Motion to approve unless it was already done. I did, but I'll second it then.
First by Mayor Pro Tem, second by John Roberts.
Sounds good.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Michelin Boulevard, I mean, that area would seem right for some type of development at some point in time, I would think. Hopefully sooner than later. I see 3 young men up here. What are y'all doing? Spying? Somebody say what, your class? Good, what class? What school? Oakwood Christian School. Thank you for coming. Well, we'll see everybody
Next year?
Thursday, right? Hopefully at the city Christmas dinner.
Friday.
At Thursday? Thursday at 11:30. But if I don't see you, Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, everybody out there.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say, as everybody's going home and getting ready to get their Christmas presents, the city council and this staff's been truly blessed with a lot of presents this year as well. We've had, the acquisition of our fire department land this year. We've had the completion of our Lindley Park. We've had the starting of the construction on Caters Lake, and most recently, the groundbreaking at Murray Franklin. So I think we've been truly blessed with a lot of presents here at the city this year with the project. So thank you to the staff and for everybody that you've done to make these things come to a reality. So I appreciate it.
Mr. Martinez.
Yeah, I wanted to share with you guys. I had the pleasure of hosting a little holiday party at my house last Friday night. It was for this girls softball team that I coach, and we don't get a chance to celebrate very often, and the holidays pack up pretty quick here at the end of the year. So we did this thing in the living room of my house, and I asked everybody to go around and say one thing they were thankful for to represent Thanksgiving, one gift they would give somebody that would represent Christmas, and then one thing they were looking forward to in the following year, and that was to represent New Year. And I just thought I'd share with you guys just kind of how I feel about that with the city. One, man, I'm thankful for the colleagues and the council members that we have here and the leadership that we have through our mayor. I'm thankful for our city leadership and their vision and the way that they lay all this out for us. It makes it very easy to help try to govern the city with leadership like this. In regards to Christmas, if I could give somebody a gift, I would give them the gift of living in the city of Anderson. It is just a beautiful place to live. Spend some time here, and it doesn't take you very, very long to fall in love. And then lastly, when you think about the new year, man, I mean, just to Tony's point, we had so many great things in 2025, and I think the best is still yet coming. So I'll encourage everybody to take this time of the holidays to slow down a little bit. Take an opportunity to have one of the greatest gifts in life, which I would say is just to be moved naturally to emotions. Give yourself some time to laugh, give yourself some time to love, and just give yourself a time to really appreciate all the great things you have, because I truly believe 2026 is going to be a great year. So that's what I have.
But I would like to thank everybody for this past, not just this past year, but this past many, many years that I've served with the city council. I don't think there's any council in South Carolina, maybe not abroad or any place else, as good as the Anderson City Council. You've been great, and I feel really good that as we come into the new years, we keep in mind something that all of you have already said, the unification, the love, and the working together. Because as I always say, working together makes what? A difference. And if we keep on doing that, we'll make a great difference in our city of Anderson. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
I'd entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Mr. Stewart, second by Dr. Thompson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.